Hi, and welcome to Animalia, the podcast. I'm Natasha, and thank you so much for tuning in. This has been a week, eh? The ruling in the case of the black dog hanged to death in Mbakade has caused animal lovers to react. Not as viscerally as the wider population reacted to the actual incident, but for the conscientious among us, the application of the law by the court, although the law was amended, as well as the testimony and arguments presented to the court, was shocking to say the least, in light of the $400 fine imposed on the three accused. So horrified was I at the dismissive way the ruling was given, that I decided to go on a mini campaign to hear from as many people as would share their opinions, feelings, concerns, not just about this case, but how this case represents the national attitude towards animal cruelty. I received several voice notes, all of which I will share on this episode. But first, let's hear from a young citizen who grasped an opportunity to speak her mind. Right, I am very pleased to welcome to Animalia a young lady who reached out to me on Instagram, and I'm very happy that she did so. And we have an opportunity to talk with her a little bit about the infamous black dog case. I want to welcome to Animalia Megan Khan. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you reached out to Animalia.
Okay, so I'm Megan Khan and I'm 16. I attend Saraswati and one day I hope to become a vet, which means I follow these kind of pages. And I saw she posted about the incident with the dog, and I honestly thought that was like really, really terrible and ridiculous too, that they only paid $400. So I reached out and I said I wanted to speak about it with her.
And why did you feel so strongly about it?
Because if you don't do something about it now, then it's just gonna keep happening and nobody gonna do anything about it.
All right, let's step back a bit. Tell me about how many animals you've had in your lifetime and how you are proceeding to become a vet. What are the things that you're doing to make that happen?
Well, right now I'm trying to get into volunteering at shelters, and I still waiting to do that. And since I was younger, I had a lot of pets up to now. Most of them were strays that I just fed and stuff. And well, up to recently, I had a shelter dog. I don't have him anymore. And I have a dog named Nova, but he don't live with me.
And you've had dogs only or cats as well?
Well, I never owned a cat, but I took care of plenty cats already that lives near me.
All right. So to go back to the black dog incident, did you see the video when it first came out?
No, I never got to see the video. I just read articles about it.
Right. I never saw it either, and to be honest, I didn't want to. But reading the articles about it, were you in favor of what everybody was saying? And how did you feel when you read that the three men who were involved were arrested?
Well, when they were arrested, I was happy because I thought they were actually going to do something about it. And then I saw they got bail. So that is, well, I didn't like that they were bail. I wanted them to stay in jail for at least a year, like what they were supposed to do.
And now that they've gone before a magistrate, the case was heard, and they were fined $400 each. What was your opinion of that?
That didn't make sense either, because with the new law, they were supposed to be fined $100,000 and they were supposed to get jail time. So nothing there was even close to what was actually supposed to happen.
Correct. And what do you think they're going to go on to do now? What do you think is the message that that judgment or that ruling sends?
It sends a message that they don't care either. So people could just continue to do what they do to animals and nobody is going to care.
Yes, so true. How would you like to contribute towards animal welfare in the future, apart from being a vet?
Well, I think that they should enforce more strict laws about animal abuse and people should start spreading awareness about it. Like proper ways you could do to care for animals.
Is there anything you think you can do, even at your age, maybe at school or in your community?
You could report cruelty, you can tell others about animal rights, you could organize events to speak about it. And I think there should be a reward for people who report animal abuse. That will give people motive to actually report it because maybe people see it and they just keep quiet. I think the main reason that people don't talk about it is because They don't want to accept that animals should be equal to us. They should be treated as equals. And it's an uncomfortable truth for them, for people to accept that animals are deserving of being treated with respect, and it's just easier to ignore it because people are lazy to speak up about it.
So that was Megan Khan. I am so proud of her for taking the initiative to speak up on this issue. I hope she continues to work towards her dream of becoming a vet and that she doesn't become discouraged by the backwardness and ignorance that pervades our society when it comes to animals. At this juncture, I'm going to share each of the voice notes that I received. Thank you to everyone who contributed. Anne, Camille, Elspeth, Gillian, Kelly, Lucinda, Mary, Nadia, Rhonda, and Tanil. It is significant, I think, that all these voices are women. Probably a topic I will need to address in more depth on another episode. But here, in no particular order, and ending with my own thoughts, documented on the Animalia Facebook and Instagram pages, are the thoughts and opinions of Trinbagonians on the subject of this case and every case of animal cruelty in Trinidad and Tobago.
Hi, good day. I would just like to take a minute of your time to voice my concerns regarding the hanging of the black dog in Mbakere. I would just like to say that these men claim to hang this dog as an act of mercy, yet the way they ended his life was very inhumane. This was an innocent animal who acted out aggressively because of its pain. I mean, there are so many people in Trinidad that help animals. They go above and beyond to secure stray animals and to help animals in need. They could have easily reached out to one of these people who would have more than been happy to help this dog. But no, they chose to hang this dog, and they did this in such a vile way. It was so gruesome. Looking at that video made me sick to my stomach. It made me so sick watching that video. They did this to this animal, and all they got away with was a slap on the wrist to me. I mean, $400, anybody could pay that. They basically got off scotch-free for harming this innocent dog, and I find it's very unfair.
I think this judgment, in quotation marks, is absolutely reprehensible. To me, it just shows the lack of interest, the lack of compassion, the apathy, just complete ignorance. I think apathy is probably the best adjective. We don't seem to care about the vulnerable in our society, be it children, the elderly, and certainly our animals. That poor dog suffered unbelievably and unjustly so. That did not have to happen, and it did. And this case could have been used as a message because it was high profile enough, and the judgment could have been used to send a message that this is not okay. Treating animals like this is not okay. And the fact that this is not more of an outrage, is not more of an outcry and more of an outrage, speaks to the lack of interest and just general nonchalance about what our pets, what our furry family members, how they are seen. And it's absolutely disgusting. I don't have the answer. I don't know how to get an entire society to see the importance of how we treat, like I say, those we're supposed to take care of, the vulnerable, those are the voiceless that we are supposed to speak for. This isn't a victory. I'm happy that they went through the justice system and there was some judicial bearing, but the outcome certainly does not weigh to the crime that they did. There's so much more work to do, and there's so much further we need to reach.
The magistrate is to blame. How could he accept such a defence? Attorney Ainsley Lucky said they acted out of compassion. He used the Dangerous Dog Act by saying the dog was aggressive and had to be put down. Euthanasia is the humane way for this to have been done. This was the perfect opportunity to send a message to animal abusers instead of what he did say, and he used the word compassion. They certainly didn't act out of compassion by hanging the dog.
The few seconds of the video of Madison being hung to death has been burnt into my memory and haunts me to this day. I cannot understand how someone can take pleasure in murdering a defenseless animal and only be fined $400. I can't get that image of her struggling for her life while those murderers laughed and posed for pictures out of my head. She did not deserve that, and we must make a stand and demand justice for Madison's murder. We must take a stand against animal cruelty. Their claim of her murder being an act of mercy because she changed and became vicious after the accident is beyond ridiculous. That was not an act of mercy. That was cold-blooded murder. A life was taken that wasn't theirs to take. Can you imagine how scared Madison was, being choked, unable to breathe, hanging by her neck, the weight of her body thrashing around as she frantically tried to get free, gasping for air, feeling her life slipping away into a cold, dark place? Imagine how scared she was as she died. How can we let them get away with murder? These people enjoyed what they did. This can't be done.
This ruling with these three men defined, I don't find it was justified in terms of the little bit because of what they did. And people should realize that animals are helpless creatures and they should not be treated in the manner in which they are treated, especially dogs or cats or any animal, as a matter of fact. So I agree with what you all have put forth in terms of the fine and a year imprisonment if you are found, doing harm to any animal per se. I agree with your proposal. These men got away with a pat on their back. It's ridiculous. They'll just go and do it again.
As the old people would say, you need to feel to learn. Honestly, regarding the article that these three big horseback men only received a $400 fine for tormenting and killing a helpless dog is beyond me. That is nothing to pay. Granted, I am happy the government is making a step towards justice for animals. I still find that we have a long way to go. Little of the video that I watched, and trust me, it was a very little, because it broke my heart. I could not watch it. To me, I saw three men enjoying themselves while killing an animal. And that's insane. I can't even imagine anybody being in a position and doing that. That's insane. That's all I'm going to say. Their response in the article was that it was an act of mercy. I mean, I saw no sadness, no empathy, no loss of a loved dog, in my opinion. Additionally, they said that the dog was hit by a car 3 months ago and was not eating. But in my opinion, they contradicted themselves by saying that the dog was rummaging through garbage. That sounds like a hungry dog to me. In the end, I can't see $400 making these gentlemen feel anyhow. To me, it's just a slap on the wrist. I would vote for some jail time as well.
Hello, I'm leaving my thoughts on the ruling for the three people who tortured and killed the dog, the black dog. That was one of the most horrific videos I've ever seen, and I was hopeful that with the change of laws in Trinidad for animal cruelty, even though this occurred before that law had passed, I would hope that the judge would take into consideration what everyone is constantly saying, is that people who mistreat and torture and neglect and hurt and kill animals are very likely to commit the same to humans.